A word of warning before I start this analysis. I am really bad at phrasing things or figuring out a way to put my thoughts into words, so some of my points may not sound like the strongest. I think it'll be pretty clear that I am really neurodivergent, and my learning difficulties make it hard for me to string together sentences that make sense. If this makes the video hard to watch, then I'm sincerely sorry, but I am trying my best because this is a topic I am really passionate about, and I want this video to come out as well as possible. I do hope you enjoyed this video, but if you don't, well, I can live with that. So, Act 2 of the Inanimate Insanity Season 2 finale released not that long ago, which turned out to be a lot better than I expected. Like, genuinely. Up until its release, I was just a casual fan who watched it mostly because I was a fan of BFDI. But then that episode dropped and changed everything I had ever thought about an object show ever. Like, II2 is my favorite thing to come out of the object show community ever. Maybe 2 days after the episode dropped, I decided to rewatch Inanimate Insanity in its entirety, just to refresh my memory of what led up to this work of art. And it reminded me of another episode that I adored when I first watched it. The 12th episode of Season 2, Alternate Reality Show. Also known as the episode that solidified my love for Lightbulb, the episode that got me properly invested in the show, the episode that I deem to be the perfect analogy for ADHD, and definitive proof that Lightbulb has it. This isn't just me being Miss Predictable Mihalina, throwing around ADHD headcanons to feel some semblance of normality. I genuinely believe Lightbulb is a brilliantly written character with ADHD, and to my knowledge, this wasn't even intentional. Now, I'm going to try to explain myself to the best of my ability, though knowing me, no matter how much effort I put into the script, I'm still going to come off as incomprehensible. So, yeah, Lightbulb. In previous episodes, Lightbulb had already displayed some pretty apparent ADHD traits. Her carelessness and inability to stay focused or serious stick out to me the most, but it's not until episode 12 where she really gets to shine. I already think the whole concept of an episode focused more on certain characters in the competition is great, but the fact episode 12 is about Lightbulb and Test Tube specifically makes it much better to me. So, the episode. We start off the episode with Marshmallow being disqualified from the show, something that is upsetting to Paintbrush, as we know that the two were quite close through the game. Lightbulb also seems to be upset about losing someone. Not Marshmallow, but Baxter. She seems to think this is what's bothering Paintbrush too, so she goes to comfort them. Now, Paintbrush and Lightbulb have had a few clashes in the past. Though she doesn't intend this, she tends to get on Paintbrush's nerves. At this point, Paintbrush sees Lightbulb as a distraction, someone who doesn't take the game seriously enough. A bit of an annoyance, really. So they tell her that they should go their separate ways. They try to put this to her lightly, because, as they said, they are still friends. But it still upsets Lightbulb. Not like she'd actually admit that. We're a minute and a half in, and I already have 2 things to comment on. Firstly, Lightbulb's misunderstanding of Paintbrush's feelings. This isn't a very relevant point, but it's something I'd still want to point out. Lightbulb doesn't quite understand the weight of Marshmallow's disqualification may have on Paintbrush, instead believing that they two are upset about Baxter going missing. She misreads their feelings, and ultimately it gets the two to separate. Secondly, Lightbulb's reaction to Paintbrush wanting them to go their separate ways. Socializing can be hard for neurodivergent people, and making real, lasting friendships is a lot more difficult than it would be for someone neurotypical. Even though the relationship is positive, Lightbulb's more unserious, silly, nonsensical personality seems to be a barrier between the two, if that makes sense. Obviously, Lightbulb wasn't very happy about Paintbrush saying they'd be better off working alone, but puts on a brave face. She wouldn't want them to feel bad, would she? I've had experiences like this. Though I was able to make a lot of friends in the past, a lot of people saw me as a bit too much, difficult to deal with. I was, and admittedly still am, a very clingy person with my friends, and that put a lot of people off. But I'm not going to act all offended that someone doesn't want to hang out with me at the moment, even if it hurts a bit. What matters is that my friends are happy, right? Actually, Lightbulb seems to hide her negative feelings a lot for the sake of the people she cares about.
I guess I should just start charging admission now, huh?
Sorry, I drink when I'm depressed. Which I'm not. No, I am not.
See how she immediately goes back on her statement? I think it's pretty clear she doesn't put her own emotions first. And that makes sense to me. People with ADHD have a lot worse of a time handling/controlling/regulating their emotions. So showing or even admitting these feelings to other people can make you feel like a burden. This also ties into the people with ADHD are more likely to develop depression thing. I'd also like to mention the common trait of impulsivity/clumsiness kickstarts the plot of the episode. Lightbulb, without thinking, grabs Test Tube's time machine, assuming it's some sort of calculator, sending Test Tube and herself back in time to the first episode of Inanimate Insanity. Another wonderful display of Lightbulb's lack of impulse control is when she tries to get stylistically challenged Paintbrush's attention, not realizing that that could cause some serious consequences to the space-time continuum. She also pushes past Salt and Pepper down Crappy Cliff in an attempt to be helpful, which, that combined with Test Tube stepping on a twig, caused the show's timeline to mess up. By the way, can I mention how strangely pretty the messed up timeline is? I'm actually a pretty big fan of the pink grass and rectangular clouds. Salt and Pepper are iconic too, though was the hyper-realistic leg close-up necessary? I really like how bizarre this timeline is, both in its appearance and its nature. This may seem like a stretch, but I feel that it fits with the whole ADHD analogy pretty well. The appearance of the timeline is disorganized and unnatural, and the contestants in it are strange, erratic, and random. Kind of all over the place. To me, this reflects the chaotic state of my brain. I always describe my thoughts as a large crowd of people, running around a foggy sitting, knowing they're supposed to be going somewhere, but not knowing where that somewhere is. As soon as one of those thoughts figures it out, it gets hit by a semi-truck before it can become fully coherent, which, now that I think about it, reflects how the boring contestants in this reality get deleted. On to another clip.
I typed in the present, but this is this. I'm gonna have a breakdown.
And this is when you should drop out of math, kids. Take that, fractions! Ow!
Why?
You said you were gonna have to break it down. I just wanted to help.
Once again, we have examples of both Lightbulb's poor impulse control and her misinterpreting someone's feelings, though in this case, it's more of her taking a phrase literally. From what I know, taking certain phrases/figures of speech literally is more of an autistic trait than an ADHD one, but I still feel like it fits here. Lightbulb's intentions were completely innocent, but in her attempts to help Test Tube by doing what she assumed she wanted to do, she caused more trouble. From what I know, this too is a common issue for people with ADHD, trying to help, but not being able to. This actually links to something Lightbulb says later on in the episode. She tries. While it's not obvious to the other characters, in this case Test Tube, we, the viewer, can tell she is trying her best. She really wants to be helpful, but her clumsy, impulsive nature makes it hard for her actions to actually do any good. We can connect that to her and Paintbrush's conflict with leading the bright lights. Lightbulb wants to, or wanted to, the teams merged in this episode, lead her team to victory, but they had a pretty big losing streak near the beginning, and her leadership just didn't seem good enough. However, when she stepped up to help the alternates get attention, they accepted her pretty quickly. Lightbulb was able to easily connect to the alternates. It makes sense with how wacky the alternates were. It would make sense Lightbulb could connect to them so easily. I feel like Lightbulb feels acceptance in these alternates. She has connected to them easier than she has ever been able to connect with anyone before. She's having fun with people that she can actually relate to, which could make it harder for her to want to leave. I'm going to put just like me here, not just because I think it illustrates my point, but also because I think it's a banger that deserves attention.
All the people that I now see are people who are just like me. I mean, really, what a time to be taking part in this insanity. I'm finally feeling free, basking in this similarity. And all I had to do was flee, build myself a new reality.
Shout out to the songs in Inanimate Insanity. They're all really good. Unrelated, but I think it's worth mentioning that the reason Lightbulb and the alternates similar to her are allowed to stick around because their supposed zaniness helps keep up Salt and Pepper's celebrity sasses. Anyhoozles. Skipping forward a bit, we get to the elimination scene. This scene is special to me because it leads up to Test Tube understanding Lightbulb.
Wow, this is somehow simultaneously advanced and utterly barbaric!
Whoa, wait, hold up. Don't get me wrong, I'm all for fun, I love having fun, but torture, I don't know, it's kinda crossing a line there. And when you cross a line, it stops being a line, it's just a cross, with a crossing guard and all that other cool stuff.
Yuck, so funny!
I'm trying to logic this chaos. This is serious, okay? This is serious o'clock.
Serious o'clock. Lightbulb, you're
kill me. Ah, it's a barrel of laughs here, isn't it? Sorry I tried to repair our problem. I should have just used luck. Or quirks, like you.
What do you mean quirks? Hey, anyway, you want some toast? I made it myself. I still don't know how, but it happened.
There it is, nonsensical light bulb, accidentally stumbling into a solution. Oh, you have a crab, we all like you now. Quirkity-doo, gee. You know, I actually have to try.
I try.
Now, there is a lot to unpack here. We know Lightbulb has been having a lot of fun in this reality. She seems to feel a lot more welcomed there than in her own reality. But obviously she's not going to let Test Tube be treated so negatively. So, again, she tries to help Test Tube. She tries to reason with the others, but with the way she phrased her speech, the silly, seemingly childish analogy she used, and the way the others perceived her already, she was met with laughter. Again, Lightbulb isn't being taken seriously, and we can see how this affects her. When she says it's serious o'clock, she means it. She doesn't see how it may be seen as unserious. Of course, this failed attempt at talking things out also adds to Test Tube's currently negative perception of Lightbulb. She snaps at Lightbulb, aggravated about how immature Lightbulb seems to behave, how she doesn't take anything seriously, how she seems to stumble upon solutions rather than actually thinking of any, but how she doesn't seem to try at all. But we all know.
I try.
This scene kind of hurts to watch, to be honest. Not in a bad way, I just mean it's very effective. Kind of hits close to home, you know? Again, we know Lightbulb is trying her best, and we know she means well. It's just the way she does everything, the way she behaves. It gets in the way of people actually taking her seriously. They can't see how hard she tries. Test Tube's face after Lightbulb says this, by the way. The realization and the guilt. God, I cannot describe how I feel about it. But hey, now's not the time to process that vulnerable moment, because you're still in mortal peril. However, this time, Lightbulb has come up with something clever. Everyone sees things differently, and everyone deals with situations differently. Lightbulb sees how self-obsessed Salt and Pepper are, how fragile their egos are, so she uses her words differently. Rather than try to reason with the duo, she goes to mess with their heads and their dynamics. When Test Tube catches on to what she's trying to do there, she joins in. How do we feel about Test Bulb, chat? I mean, this plan ends rather violently, but hey, they still managed to get out in the end, right? And now, this scene.
Maybe there is a method to your madness.
Well, you know, things ain't so simple anymore. I think with all of these quirkity-doos I have, I'm just better off latching on, right?
Lightbulb, quirkity, don't say that. I was wrong. You don't stumble into solutions. You recognize them. After all, logic needs chaos too.
Thanks, but I can't take you seriously if you keep using that word quirkity-doo.
In fact, it needs it right now. Great Scott, that's us!
The moment isn't very long, but I find it to be really touching. Test Tube grows to appreciate Lightbulb's quirks upon realizing that she is actually helpful. She just does things differently. And the way she comforts her, I love how accepting Test Tube is to her. The scene is just so touching in a way I can't describe. So, my opinions on this episode overall. I think it does a good job of depicting Lightbulb as a character with ADHD, unintentionally or not. Her being the focus of the episode allows us to see her neurodivergent traits and how they affect her and the others around her a lot better than we would in any other episode. She shows a good balance of symptoms throughout the show, at least to me, and some of the events that transpire in this episode in particular mirror similar experience that some people with ADHD face. Feeling misunderstood or left out because of how different they behave, having their attempts at helping be left unappreciated, hiding their true feelings from their friends, feeling useless. It just makes you feel accepted, appreciated, something along those lines. I feel that Lightbulb is a better example of good ADHD representation than some characters that are actually written with in mind. So, if any of the creators of II are watching this, highly unlikely, but whatevs. Congrats, I guess. That's all I have to say for now. I hope this made at least a little bit of sense. On that note, have a lovely day.